Welcome to another episode of the MMA Lock-Cast. I'm your host, Manpreet, a.k.a. MMA Lock of the Night, and your boy on Twitter at MMALOTN, and we are back in the studio. My man, Big Rob, is here with me.
Yeah! Woo!
Yay! Before I kick the episode off, I just want to give a quick shout out to Connor Rideout, who was on the last Combative Stories episode. He hooked me up with this sweet hoodie. He's a vegan, so his nickname is the Soy Boy.
Okay.
And if you notice the logo, it's an artichoke choking a carrot.
I love it.
So he's like, yo, I had a couple of these later on. I'm like, all right, cool, I like it. I'll rock it. I'll rep your shit. The episode with him is either dropping today or tomorrow, whichever day. Cool. If this is out, that's going to be out too. I got to go home and fucking edit that as soon as I get home.
Cool.
But yeah, we're here for UFC 248, huge pay-per-view. We got Israel Adesanya headlining against, who the fuck is he fighting again? Yoel Romero? God damn. Wake up. And then in the co-main event, we got Ioane and Jacek going up against Weili Zhang. That should be a great fight as well. But we got Rob here, so that means we got to do the casuals.
All right. All right.
All right. The last event that we just had, UFC, whatever the fuck it was, UFC Norfolk.
Okay.
We had these two very fun strikers. Like, these guys are like the second heaviest weight class. They throw with a lot of power, and everybody was really anticipating this fight.
Yeah, these guys look way bigger than normal.
Yeah. Probably like 210, 220 right now.
Okay.
But, yeah, like, it's not that long of a fight. But I want to get your opinion on this. So this is the Ion Cutelaba and Magomed Ankalaev fight. You guys already know what the fuck happened. But I want to get Rob's reaction. So just watch a little closely now because it's going to start to pick up.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing some kicks.
We see Cutelaba pushing the pressure a bit. Ankalaev on the back foot, but he hits him with a head kick.
Really?
Hits him again. He looks a little wobbly.
Oh.
Throws a nice one there. And then they stop the fight. So I wanted the casual's perspective on whether that fight should have been stopped with to begin with.
Well, either should have got stopped right away, or like he was not like he was.
Let's get the replay going.
Yeah, let's see that again. But it seemed like he was fine.
Right. So watch these.
Okay.
Just pay attention to the guy getting hit. You see that? Like the little stutter.
Yeah. Yep.
He's still like moving his head around.
Yeah,
like
he blocked it. Yeah, he blocked it
that.
again.
Blocked.
Yeah.
Blocked.
Okay.
Throws a shot as well. Blocked again.
Yeah.
Right hand or left hand kind of hits.
Yeah.
1-2 hits there.
Yeah.
See, he was even throwing a punch at the same time as well, right?
Yeah.
So this is real time. Watch this. Pay attention to how he looks.
I don't know if it's his style or whatever, but when you watch it in slow-mo, he's totally like, a punch is coming, he blocks it. Then he tries to attack. You know, a punch comes, he blocks it. But when you watch him when it's fast, he looks like he's drunk.
Exactly,
I don't know
right?
how it's possible, but...
So he said he was playing possum.
Well, there you go. Yeah, because he looked... He
tricked even the referee.
Right.
He tricked even the referee.
There you go.
Like a lot of people are saying that it was really shitty because he was throwing a punch, like a heavy punch, as the referee stopped it. If you notice, he throws this huge overhand right as the referee's walking in. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what makes it even worse. And he looks completely in it right now as he's complaining.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah. Like, he looks alert. Like, he's not, like, falling down.
You're playing with fire there, though. When you pull those types of antics, where you're faking being hurt.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know what the rules are on that. Because
there are no rules on that.
They should be, because you know what? You're playing with your life.
True.
You know what I mean?
But you are, like, he kind of a little bit has himself to blame, but...
Totally.
It didn't look that sellable to me, but maybe in the moment, and as you're the referee, you're looking out for this guy's safety.
Yeah.
You don't have the best angles on seeing whether he blocked those kicks or not either.
That's happens within seconds.
Yeah.
Right? It's not... Like, when we watch in slow-mo, it's like... over such a long period of time. But
like, you see his eyes are kind of still there, but he looks drunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I was feeling it.
We only got 38 seconds of the fight. Everybody was expecting it like a round and a half of just war of these guys going at it. So it was kind of like they were just building to a crescendo, and it just got stopped like midway.
Shit, man.
I know. It was, I actually had money on that guy, so I'm glad I won. Can't be too mad about that.
True.
What the fuck is up, dude?
Dude, that's wild. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for showing me that one.
Summer's coming up.
Yeah.
You've already invited me to something.
Okay, so I've never gone to this place before.
Yeah.
It's called Hillside Festival, but I've always wanted to go, and I've went on YouTube and checked it all out, and I've been there at the actual facility, which is the Guelph Lake that we've camped at before.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, I got a campsite.
Did you get the same one? Guelph Lake. Sorry, I went to that one.
Yeah. It was at Guelph Lake, but
Yeah.
not the same site.
No.
I couldn't get that one.
Mhm.
But I got the one that I used to go to year after year after year until I found that one.
Okay.
Which is also a water
It's a
site.
classic.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it is a classic.
Cool.
Because it has something different that the other one doesn't have.
Which is?
This wicked fucking tree right in the middle that the water is all completely around it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like this cove kind of thing. If you have a boat and you're just floating around it, it's pretty awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, so
It's early March. Like, it's literally March 4th.
you gotta plan it.
But, yeah, I know. Big Rob already knows. Like, you gotta fucking... January, February, that's when, like, everybody starts booking the campsites. I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but that's how it is up here in Ontario. No, I'm really looking forward to that. You told me it's, like, end of July or something, so maybe maybe I'll be able to swing by for that shit.
That'd be awesome.
Thank you once again.
Thank you, brother.
You're the fucking man for doing this. All right, let's get into the fucking episode. UFC 248 coming up this weekend, but we'll quickly go over UFC Norfolk, which was the last event. We'll quickly run through that. My performance on that wasn't too bad. It was actually a winning and profitable event. Hopefully we can bring that juju into actual positive juju and keep the ball rolling. But I'll go over it quickly for you guys. Lock of the night play, Magomed Ankalaev, like I talked about, minus 205. That was kind of a gift, It obviously didn't play out like anybody wanted it to or anybody would have thought of. But still happy to get the W. A W is a W. Even if it happened the other way, I'm sure Kutalaba bettors would say the same fucking thing. But plus 2.44 units on that, minus 0.5 units on a small stab on Derek Minner. I believe, with everything that was leading up into that fight week, Dawson missing weight, Minner having 21 of 24 wins by submission, and Dawson having to go that route to get the victory. I was willing to take the shot at plus 389, so I have no regrets on that bet. Let's get into the fucking groove here. Come on, Lock. Let's get our shit together. All right. Also, 1 unit at plus 140 on the main event, Benavidez and Davis Figueiredo to go under 4.5 rounds. My heart wanted it to be Joseph Benavidez, but it ended up being Davison. But regardless, bittersweet. We cash it. Plus 1.4 units on there, and then minus 0.25 units on the Hail Mary Patreon parlay. I'll always fucking do that. I don't give a shit about throwing a 0.25er out there every event. It's worth it. In my opinion, at least. I haven't hit one yet. I've gotten damn close, but I will, and I'm willing to put 0.25 units on it pretty much at every event. So we end the event, UFC Norfolk plus 3.09 units, 46% ROI. Happy with that, and that rolls us right into UFC 248, which I'm fucking really excited for because I feel like I have a lot of decent reads on these fights, and I might have a little bit more bets than I normally do, but I feel like there are some opportunities here that I need to capitalize on. A little bit more than I like earlier today. I had a lot more in mind in terms of which ones I would bet. But as the tape study, start to conclude, I had to back off a couple of the underdogs. But I will still maybe pick them as as who I'm predicting to win. And you guys can take whatever information you want from that and possibly put it into your own thoughts and your own perspective if you find yourself really wanting to make that play. But I'll help you guys out as best as I can. But overall, as a card, I listen to Schaub's Below the Belt pretty much every week, just because the guy's a doofus, he's a dumbass every now and then, but he's entertaining, he's cool. It seems like he's a decent guy, but some of the shit that he says to really deter I know it's his opinion and he gets to say whatever the fuck he wants. That's totally fine, but get to know some of these guys on the card, man. This card has some very, very fun fights. There's a lot of fights on here that should be fight of the night contenders, and I will mention it before going into each one because I think it's deserving of that nomination at least. But man, a lot of these like Alex Oliveira versus Max Griffin, again, it's not the mainstream people that are going to know who these people are. Maybe they know Cowboy Oliveira, but yeah, that fight's going to be fucking bonkers. That's going to be a great fight. Neil Magny against Li Jingliang is going to be a great fight as well. Beneil Dariush against Jakar Close. He shouted out Dariush, so that's cool. I don't know why I'm ranting about Shaw, but whatever. I think the card's great overall. There's a lot of fun things to see. We get to see Vieira maybe slightly kind of tested by Safarov. That's something. Marco Madsen, seeing how he does against somebody who has decent wrestling credentials and might make this fight a little bit more difficult than the odds are assuming. Whitmire versus Viana should be some women's MMA violence that we get to witness. I'm totally down for that. Deron Winn against Gerald Meerschaert should be a fucking banger too. God damn, there's so much on this card to love, and I'm super excited for it, and I can't wait to watch it this fucking weekend. But first and foremost, I'm going to start to break it down for you guys so we can get that shit out of the way, and then we can focus on actual fight day and just enjoy the fights. Hopefully win some money as well. So let's start off with the right at the bottom of the card. We got Guido Cannetti versus Danaa Batgerel, according to the Anakin Florian podcast. We'll start off with Batgerel real quick. He's coming off a loss to Haile Alatong, which wasn't a totally bad fight for him. You know, he was definitely out-grappled in that fight in terms of, you know, credentials-wise and just history-wise. Haile Alatong was a much better grappler than him in that fight. But I didn't mind, or I was slightly impressed with what I did see on the feet for Danaa Batgerel. Very good leg kicks. He mixes up his combinations pretty well too. I think he has decent power. I think if he's able to land cleanly on Guido, he would be able to have some success. I think he has a technical ability, and the you know, again, mixing up his strengths, the variety of that, that could play in favor for him here against Guido, who's, in my opinion, more so of a winging puncher. I don't think he has the best like technical striking. Doesn't throw the most straight 1-2s, I'd say. More of like a blitzer trying to get in, hit you and get out. What was his last fight? The Marlon Vera fight. You know, I had decent success in that first round. Vera's not the best on the feet either. You know, eventually got tapped out by him. The Diego Rivas fight, you know, good win for him. I don't think Rivas is totally UFC level. Kyung Ho Kang got absolutely out-grappled there too. I'm not saying he's not the worst grappler either. I think he could give Danaa Batgerel some issues there and take him down and possibly win the fight that way too. But I kind of see this fight playing it more so out on the feet. I think that they're both going to be swinging, and I kind of like the fight doesn't go to decision, or the under. The unders still aren't out. Fight doesn't go to decision is minus 120, so that leads me to believe that under 2.5 would be about plus 100 to plus 110, and I would be totally happy with taking a shot on that just because of their styles. I think that they're definitely going to be swinging. I think that Danaa Batgerel is actually going to be the more technical one. I see why he's favored. It's, you know, pretty evident in terms of the technical striking. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah, I think that Danaa is going to have the advantage on the striking there, so he's going to be able to clip Cannetti and put him down and put him out. But it should be a fun fight. I don't see the reason as to betting aside, and if you are trying to, for some reason, pick a side here odds-wise, you'd have to go with the dog with Cannetti, but I do believe that Batgerel is the better one. But yeah, just not enough for me to bet on it. I'd rather bet the under 2.5, which is probably what I'm going to do as long as I get that plus money on it. So I'll go with Cannetti by TKO. Let's say ground and pound. He eventually just gets him down and TKOs him that way. But again, the under 2.5. That's what I'm going with. All right, Jamall Emmers versus Giga Chikadze. This fight has been highly debated on Twitter, which is hilarious just due to the fact that like it's a relatively low-level fight on the card. It's fine. Like, I'm very impressed with Jamall Emmers. I think he has a lot of positive things to bring to the UFC, which is, you know, this is going to be his first fight there. But it all comes down to kind of his game plan and what he's going to do. And you gotta believe that, knowing that you have such a wide wrestling and grappling advantage, that he's going to take advantage of that. Like, you gotta believe that. It will be nuts to me if it goes longer than 1.5 to 2 minutes where Jamall Emmers doesn't attempt to take down or even try to feint to take down whatever it is. He needs to implement that. his striking on the feet is decent. I think he's going to be outmatched in terms of Giga having the better striking. It's going to come down to how good Emmers' chin is. I do believe that we could see Chikadze maybe stuff the first takedown, but I think after that it's going to be all Emmers. He has really good takedowns. We've seen Giga get taken down by lesser competition and men that show lesser wrestling prowess than a Jamall Emmers. But there's just a couple things that just have me a little bit skeptical. Like I feel like I'm still going to take a shot on him. I want to see where the odds get. It seems like they are going a little bit more in Emmers' favor now. People are getting a little bit more privy to him and seeing that and believing that he is going to use his wrestling advantage here. Minus 172. I'm not going to lie at all. It has crossed my mind to actually parlay him with somebody later in the card. It's a thought that's crossed my mind. It's something that I'm still considering. I want to see where the odds get at. I think that there will be some Giga love come back. But again, it's Wednesday actually, so we got a couple days. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with Jamall Emmers. I think that he goes out there and grinds Giga out. Giga actually is quite impressive in terms of his the abilities that he actually has off of his back, considering that he's mainly a kickboxer. Decent jiu-jitsu. We've seen him throw up a couple submissions. Who the hell did he fight? What was that? The Brandon Davis fight. We saw him throw up a couple of submissions there. The Austin Springer fight as well too. I think he was a little bit more green there, which is why he ended up coming on the losing side there. But yeah, it's tough for me to see outside of a knockout where Jamall Emmers doesn't get this fight to the ground, grind him out, or even get a submission later in the fight. I love Emmers here, man. I want to say that I'm playing him, but I'm not 100% on it. But maybe in the next couple of days it will sell me a little bit more. But I really like him in the spot. I will be that dummy at the end of the day that if this ends up losing, I'll be the one to admit I believe that he would use his wrestling, because any sane motherfucker with eyes, ears, and the ability to watch tape would know that that's where Jamall Emmers wins this fight. Plain and simple. All right, Emily Whitmire versus Polyana Viana. Don't really have a read for this fight in terms of who I believe is going to win. This is another Batgerel and Guido Cannetti fight, but I think the under is kind of where the money might be. So plus 155-ish. Again, these are sport bet and 5 dimes. Fight won't go 2.5. Fight won't go 2 minutes 30 seconds into round 3, or fight goes 2 minutes 30 seconds into round 3. It's not actually under 2.5 or under 3.5 or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know. They're eventually going to release it. But either way, plus 155 is what we're possibly getting for an under 2.5 line here. And I like that. Both girls are, they usually they come forward. They try to get they actually do work for the finish. Emily Whitmire likes to show off her grappling. Polyana Viana has run on to some tough times. 3 straight losses. I actually cashed JJ Aldrich as an underdog in that fight. But, she's a really good jiu-jitsu artist, that's for sure. But, giving up a submission to Veronica Macedo is a little concerning, and I believe that with both of their styles and their aggressiveness in terms of getting this fight to the ground, which I think that Emily Whitmire might actually want to test out. I think she'll have the slight advantage on the feet, but I think that she believes that she will be able to tap out Polyana Viana, so I wouldn't mind seeing this actually take place on the ground more often, and one of them get caught in something. I think that's a huge possibility, and at plus 155 odds, considering what their past fights have been like, and their styles, you got to go with the under. I'm gonna lean Whitmire here, which is kind of weird. No, you know what? I'm going with Polyana Viana. I think she snaps her 3-fight losing streak. She gets back on the winning track. Again, I think we see this fight play out on the ground. I think both girls are going to want to try to prove a point there, and I think that's where Whitmire kind of feels most comfortable. I believe it would be in her advantage if she actually try to take this on to the keep this on the feet. But I think that neither of them are polished enough to be able to keep the other person from getting it to their realm, whichever they believe is the jiu-jitsu department. So I'm going to take Polyana Viana. I think that even if it's Whitmire that gets her down, we still see Polyana pull off a sweep, get her some sort of submission, let's say rear naked choke, and I'm going to go with Polyana. Polyana by submission, let's say round 2. And again, I will more than likely be at least placing 1 unit at plus 155 for that under 2.5. Another fight that I like money, or plus money is what I'm trying to say. Plus 125 Gerald Meerschaert is damn intriguing against Deron Winn here. So starting off with Gerald Meerschaert, he's coming off a split decision loss to Eric Anders. Before that, he beat Trevin Giles, who I believe overall had a little bit more to offer. Obviously there is that crazy wrestling advantage that Deron Winn is going to always have over his opponents. But again, I think that his size is really a detriment to him here at 185. Ugh. My nose is so itchy. God damn, it's pissing me off. Either way, I don't do coke, guys. I swear to God. All right, get back to the fight. Deron Winn's coming off that split decision to Darren Stewart. And we kind of saw in that fight, if he's not totally able to implement his wrestling, he's in for some trouble. And I think he's going to be even in a little bit more trouble against Gerald Meerschaert here. I think Meerschaert has a lot of submissions from different positions. And even if Deron Winn starts sucking a little bit over the 1.5 round mark, he's going to be in some trouble. I think that Gerald will be able to clamp on to some sort of submission if Deron starts to slip a little bit. I think outside of a Deron first round TKO / knockout, this is Gerald's fight, and I like the plus 125 on him. He's plus 128 on Sportbet, but he might actually get a little bit higher based on what the trend is like. But I might actually put the 1 unit on Gerald Meerschaert here. I think he gets a submission. I'm going to say third round. He's massive too. I think he holds close to a 7-inch reach advantage. 71 inches for Deron Winn. 77.5 for Gerald Meerschaert. 6'1" compared to 5'6", a 5'6" middleweight. That's where we're at now. But this is kind of where it's going to end for him, unfortunately. I think that Meerschaert gets a victory. Again, third round submission. Maybe some sort of darts or something. Yeah, I know he doesn't really have much of a neck, but he's going to get a submission. That's without a doubt. All right, Rodolfo Vieira versus Saparbeg Safarov. Speaking of submissions, high red alert. Do not put Rodolfo Vieira in a parlay of any sort at minus 750. Now, I am absolutely picking him to win. I'm going to pick him to win by first round submission. However, those odds are a little bit ridiculous. It's almost like Felicia Spencer level. You know what I mean? She was minus 265 to win inside the distance, which I think, well, let's see if Vieira is favored more to win inside the distance than fucking Felicia was. Vieira wins inside the distance, minus 255, so roughly around the same amount. If you are going to Hail Mary parlay anything, I would do Rodolfo Vieira to win inside the distance. Saparbeg Safarov, as bad as he has, been known to be, and the fact that he tapped to a Kimura by Tyson Pedro and got GNP'd by Gian Vellante, he has a decent gas tank, and even a decent gas tank is better than whatever gas tank Rodolfo Vieira has. Or Vieira, I should say. We saw Saparbeg's relentless takedown game against Nick Negamarian. I wanted to get this fucking name right because I listened to it on when I was watching tape study. Negamarianu. Fuck y'all. Nick Negamarianu. In that fight, Saparbeg Safarov pretty much just took him down at will. I don't think he's going to want to do that here against Vieira. Maybe after a round and a half where he believes he's the fresher fighter and he would be able to ride out Vieira on top and stay out of any submissions just due to the fact that Vieira is as gassed as he is. But I don't see it getting to that. I think that Vieira is just going to completely overpower him, get him to the ground, even pull guard if he has to, and then pull off a sweep. This is going to be a tough night for Safarov, but minus 750 is criminal against a guy who is only 6-0 and who has shown a ton of cardio issues in the past. So, I'm picking Vieira first round sub. Parlay that inside the distance line if you guys can get that, but don't throw Rodolfo Vieira into a parlay straight because there is that slight chance where Safarov might be able to survive that first round and a half-ish and then just pretty much out cardio Rodolfo to a late finish or even a decision or something like that. But Rodolfo Vieira, first round submission is the pick. All right, Mark O. Madsen versus Austin Hubbard. This is another underdog that I actually really like. Plus 191 is what Austin Hubbard is now, and I'm kind of waiting for that plus 200 range. I might even get a little bit trigger happy and actually pull the trigger a little bit earlier. But I kind of like his chances here, considering what we've seen out of Marco Madsen. 9-0, 35 years old, definitely up there in age. The one thing that throws me off is I feel like Austin Hubbard is going to be a little bit taller than what the details are saying for Marco Madsen. 5'10", 72-inch reach, 5'10", 72-inch reach for Austin Hubbard as well. I feel like we're going to see Hubbard be a little bit bigger, though. Obviously, more jacked is going to be Marco Madsen, and we've seen what his path to victory is pretty much every time out. Take you down, try to ground and pound you, just out-muscle you, completely out-muscle you. He has like that, you guys hear me talk about every fucking episode, but like that, the wrestling striking style as well. Blitz forward, overhands, try to close the distance, get close enough to you so I can get my hands around you and then get you to the ground. I think he's going to have a little bit of an opposition here against Austin Hubbard, who has a decent wrestling background himself. Obviously not Olympic level like Marco Madsen. However, I think it's enough MMA-wise where he might be able to make it interesting. I think he's going to have the better striking too. Uses his kicks a lot better. He's going to have to be sure to, again, bring his kicks back quickly so he doesn't get caught in any type of takedown from Madsen. But I don't mind what I saw from him in terms of his striking. We saw a little bit in terms of when he fought Davey Hamosh. He survived that fight pretty well. But I think that Hubbard's going to have a little bit more success if it gets into the grappling realm with Mark Madsen. And especially if the longer this fight goes, I think the more he is favored to win it. I like my chances at the plus 190. I like my chances at plus 200. Marco Madsen could absolutely be the shit. I think he has a ton of potential, but I think this is a dangerous fight for him. And if his gas tank fails him at all after the 7.5 minute mark, it's going to be a tough night for him because I think that Hubbard could pull off the upset here. So I'm going to go with Hubbard. I'm going to take him by decision, maybe even a late finish. But I could absolutely be eating my words. However, value-wise, I definitely believe it's on Hubbard at this point. So Hubbard decision and possibly going to be at least a 0.75 unit bet on my end. All right. Next up, I have a special guest for you guys, and I am going to stitch that video in right here. All right, so that brings us to our prelim headliner, which is Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Jose Alberto Quinones. For this, I got a special guest, somebody I don't believe has done any podcasts or anything like that, and somebody that I want to give a little bit more shine to. We got my man, Josh P. You guys can find him at JoshP_UFC Picks. Josh, what the fuck is going on, man?
Appreciate you having me on, brother. Happy to talk about this fight. I'm excited.
Hell yeah, dude. You've been around the game for a little bit now, and I'm very excited to have you on. One thing that I wanted to touch on before I actually get into this Quinones fight is the one of your most recent tweets about people getting off on fighters hitting pads and the media day workouts and all that type of stuff. I'm kind of in the same boat with you. You know what I mean? Like, I think people read into that a little bit too much and get a hard on for no reason.
I remember Ronda Rousey was always the pad champion, and I could think about John Safi too. He was the pad champion and got knocked out by Roundtree, so it means nothing.
No, I totally agree with you. The interviews and stuff, you gotta take a lot of those things with like a grain of salt too, right? Like, people are always gonna hype themselves up. Nobody's ever gonna say, "Oh, my knees hurt," or "fucking my hand is hurting," or "this wasn't the best training camp of my life." It's very rare that we actually see that. So you gotta, like, as a capper, you gotta be very mindful of, not getting honey dick by half these people.
Absolutely. Don't buy the wolf tickets.
Exactly, wolf tickets. All right, O'Malley and Quinones. So O'Malley has been off since March of 2018. He's had a bunch of fights scheduled. He was actually supposed to fight Quinones back in October of 2018. Was supposed to also fight Marlon Vera, and now he's finally back. Had all this USADA bullshit going on, and Quinones has been a little bit more active as of late as well. Minus 350-ish for O'Malley right now, roughly in that range. I think that's a little bit wide personally, especially concerning his long layoff. But O'Malley strikes me as the kind of guy that actually, he would take this layoff, especially considering the circumstances surrounding the layoff. He would take that as more so of a motivation to go out there. He should technically, based on his potential and what everybody's been saying about him, he must be roughly in the top 10-ish if he had stayed, active in the last 2 years or so. How do you think this layoff affects him? How do you think he matches up against Quinones? And do you think he's worth the juice at minus 350 as even a parlay piece?
Yeah, you made a ton of really good points there, and I agree with almost everything you said. With O'Malley, he showed that one of his weaknesses was he was actually weak. You can tell by looking at his body. He seemed to have put a little bit of muscle on. My concern with the muscle is how many times does a guy put more muscle on and then he also improves his cardio. which in my opinion was something that is something to be worried about with O'Malley. He showed to slow down a little bit against Ware, and then also against Sukumtov, although he did have the leg issue against Sukumtov. The juice right now at minus 365, I'm looking at 5.9.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just think that's crazy wide. Even though O'Malley on the feet, I mean, the guy has, I love how...
Oh, did I lose you there?
Very seamless on the feet, and he's extremely dangerous, especially in round one. But after that round one, that's whenever things start getting a little dicey for him every fight. And that's where I just want to know about the questions for O'Malley. A couple of the questions are, have you worked on the grappling, particularly the takedown defense? Have you worked on your get-ups? When I watch him on film, his get-ups, I have yet to see him use underhooks and climb up to be in the cage. He always kind of got up after a submission attempt. He got his opponent's respect. He was able to create space. The cardio was another big question that I want to see answered. And unfortunately, with some of the weaknesses that Jose has, I don't know if we're going to get those questions answered. A couple of the big glaring weaknesses I have for Jose is that the guy he leaves his chin in the air, and that's not a good thing to do. And secondly, he keeps his head on the center line. And if you're fighting an elite striker like Sean O'Malley, who's got great accuracy, and also he throws in combinations, that's a good recipe to get your head bounced off the canvas.
Considering that El Teco has jiu-jitsu tattooed across his chest, you would expect him to have more than one submission victory on his record, eh?
Yeah, and I think that if he's watched a little bit of tape, he's gonna attack the grappling immediately. A couple things that I have written down here that could play in his favor is he has 18 UFC rounds to O'Malley's 6. He has 7 UFC fights to O'Malley's 2. He's fought better guys in my opinion. And honestly, his takedowns aren't elite takedowns, but he's shown to hit body locks. He's shown to have reactive takedowns off of guys' strikes. And whenever he gets his control, as you mentioned, he does have jiu-jitsu tattooed on his chest. He actually does a pretty good job at maintaining that top position. The biggest thing here for Jose, if he can get through round one, which is easier said than done, the guy has a really good pace and he doesn't slow down. Win or lose, he is able to keep up that pace for the entire fight. And I think that this is the kind of guy that if he can survive through round one, we're going to get some questions answered on O'Malley.
You got to think it's a little bit promising for O'Malley, though, considering how active he's been on the jiu-jitsu scene ever since he's been out of the octagon, right? Like, you got to think he's been working on it. I think he works down with at Atos with Augusto Mendez and those guys as well. So you got to think that's got to help him a bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been listening to O'Malley's interviews, and you do have to take that with a grain of salt, but his coaches and him both, they believe that they really worked hard to fill the holes that he had. And I mean, everybody knows what they were. They were the takedown defense and the get-ups. And if he's able to improve on that even, half as much, just to level up a little bit, I do think he can come out here, he can put on a show, and we can get the O'Malley train rolling. But for me, I have to go off of what I physically have seen on the tape. And to answer your question, I just don't think I could lay the juice on O'Malley at minus 350. I don't even think I really want to put him in a parlay here.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to put money down, I think that I would probably make a small bet on the underdog.
Yeah, I think at plus 300 or so for Quinones is a little bit of value, just considering all the X factors that you laid out earlier. Like even, I think a lot of people are overlooking the muscle that O'Malley has actually put on and the negative consequences it could have for him going into this fight. Plus 300 for Quinones is not too bad. I was actually a little bit impressed with him in the Hwachin fight. I believe I took Hwachin inside the distance in that just because I did not think that Quinones was going to be able to handle the power. But he played that fight pretty well. What did you take from that fight yourself?
He really mixed it up against that guy, and as you said, he was really dangerous. I mean, he fought around with.
He'll be back.
He's on the outside. It's not the best thing to watch all the time, but he's very active, always moving laterally. He's got to make sure he's not doing the same thing over and over again, because somebody like O'Malley is going to catch on to that, and he's going to capitalize. But the fact that he sets such a high pace, he's always fighting, he's always active, he's always mixing in takedowns with his striking. I think that it makes him a live dog here at plus 300.
I'd have to agree there too. I'm probably going to stay away from O'Malley in terms of. I might even stay away from this fight in general. So pretty much from your side, the value is on Quinones in your opinion. Pass on the O'Malley train at least for this fight, so we can see what he's actually coming back with. But before I do get you out of here, I do want to get your quick thoughts on the co-main and main. You can give me just a quick, brief, where the value is, who you think is going to win, and how. I think I lost you again. Just give me 1 sec. And there you go. Can you repeat that for me? I think I lost you for a sec.
No problem. For the co-main, again, it's just all about what I've actually physically seen you do inside the cage. And what Weili Zhang has done has been ultra impressive, but she hasn't fought a Rose Namajunas yet. She hasn't fought a Valentina Shevchenko, and she didn't clean out her entire division. And I think that Joanna is just, she's defensively really responsible. She's good at getting up after she's been taken down. And I just don't, I could not pass on Joanna at plus 150 next to her name. And then the main event, plus 200 for Yoel is really enticing. But just personally for me, I think that Adesanya is going to be a little bit too smart. He's going to be a little bit too witty. He's going to keep kicking.
Keep dropping. It's fine. Sorry, Josh. I need you to repeat what you said after you said that he keeps kicking. The Skype just dropped for a second.
Where'd you lose me at?
You said that Izzy's going to continuously keep kicking to keep Romero on the outside.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be really mindful of Romero because obviously the guy's got insane power with his overhand, particularly the overhand left. I can remember he KO'd Rockhold dead. He's gonna have to stay away from that. He's gonna have to chop the legs, go to the body, keep it at a healthy distance. That's where he's best. And then whenever the Olympian slows down a little bit, I think that's when he can get a little bit more aggressive and he can look to get Romero out of there or at least establish he's the dominant fighter.
Beautiful. I'm going to be breaking those down a little bit more later in this show, but I did want to get your thoughts on it real quick. I appreciate you helping me break down O'Malley and Quinones. Make sure you guys check Josh out at JoshP_UFC picks. Is there anything else you want to plug yourself, man?
No, I appreciate you plugging my Twitter and getting me on here. I hope that everybody has a profitable weekend and we see some great fights.
Fuck yeah, dude. I appreciate you coming on. And this is going to be, you're a repeat guest. Don't worry. I'm going to beckon on you later this year to come back on and help me out. So, once again, at JoshP_UFC picks. Check his ass out. He's a sharp dude. And a little bit feisty on Twitter every now and then, too. I really enjoy that. So, Josh, thanks again. And I'll catch you next time.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
Later, buddy. All right, and if you guys didn't know, I'm actually going to be passing on this fight too for O'Malley and Quinones, but my pick is going to be O'Malley. I think he actually puts out Quinones in the first round. Just too much, even off of what Josh was saying, Quinones doesn't do the best in terms of moving his head, and I think with the diversity of strikes that we see from O'Malley, he should be able to connect with on Quinones and put him out. Just not enough confidence to be, throwing somebody minus 365 into a parlay or anything like that. So, and especially considering the layoff and all the other X factors that are coming into this fight for O'Malley. But Josh killed it with his breakdown, and I definitely, echo a lot of what he's saying. So that brings us right into our main card. And we are back. All right, let's get into the main card. Alex Oliveira versus Max Griffin. This fight should be fun. This fight should be bonkers. And this is a fight where I was actually considering a bet on the underdog until I got through a couple fights of Mr. Max Griffin. Because, when you think something pre-tape and then you watch tape and then you're like, oh shit, that's actually not what I expected or thought based on the information that I had at the time before watching these pieces of tape. And that's what happened here. So I was considering a one-unit play on Max Griffin. Didn't really like what I saw from him in the Alex Morono fight. The amount that he tries to wrestle and make it difficult for his opponents to get their striking off, it's going to gas him out, and I think it might even, attest Alex Oliveira to his gas tank too. In the Morono fight, obviously Max Griffin was turning it on a little bit more, so his cardio wasn't completely shot even after he got rocked as many times as he did with Alex Morono. But I think that Oliveira is going to have a little bit more success on the feet and landing the bigger shots here. I think he's going to be able to hurt Max early. I think he might be able to get him out of there too. But if it also, gets to the point where Alex Oliveira is throwing all this wacky shit and going out there trying to finish his opponent like he tried to finish Mike Perry and then completely blew his wad, it's going to be a long night for him, because I think that Max Griffin also has the ability to, keep Oliveira on the outside, implement his wrestling. I think that's where the key is here too. Alex Oliveira had trouble getting up off of the ground from Mike Perry. He kind of gave away those rounds just from like succumbing, Meerschaert sweeps. Again, even takedowns, conceding some of the takedowns that he did. I think that Griffin, we've seen it in his last couple of fights, and I think that after the 6.5-ish minute mark, it might be easier than it was to get down, the Imadievs and the Moronos and the Alveses. The Alves loss is a little bit stinging, obviously, since that was like in one of his last 3 fights. But I think this is a fight that he could win just based off of how Alex Oliveira comes out there and performs in the first round. I think that Oliveira is going to get that shot. I think that he's going to, either submit or knock out Max Griffin. But if, he goes balls to the wall and doesn't get that finish, it could be a long night for him, like I said. So for prediction-wise, I'm going to go with Oliveira. I was close to betting Griffin, but I just can't do it anymore. I think that Oliveira just can find the openings and hurt Griffin and then put him away. So I'll go with Oliveira. I'll say by second round TKO. All right, Neil Magny versus Li Jingliang. This was another one that I was considering taking the dog. There's just too many X factors going into it for me, though. So Neil Magny hasn't fought since November of 2018, where he lost to Santiago Ponzinibbio, absolutely getting his face ripped off by Santiago down there in, I think it was Argentina. The difference here with Lee and Santiago, though, I believe that Santiago is a little bit more of an aggressive fighter. I think he's more of the guy that mixes it up, is a little bit more aggressive, stays in your face. I think Li Jingliang, doesn't have that type of pressure. He has good, powerful striking. His combinations are pretty good too. But I think the game plan here for Neil Magny, just as it always has been, is try to set the pace early. Like, start to get on Lee, pump the jab out there. He's going to have a little bit of a reach advantage here. 80 inches compared to 72 inches. So a heavy range there. 6'3" in terms of size as well compared to 6 foot. Stays on his bicycle, pumps the jab out, throws a kick every now and then mixes in a takedown here and there. I don't think he'll have the most success keeping Lee down, but I think keeping him on his feet is going to be a good game plan for Neil here. You got to think his cardio is always top notch. I don't think that Lee is going to eat up his leg as badly as Santiago did. Plus, this is a 3-round fight. With it being a 3-round fight, we could see Lee come out kind of strong in the early portions of the fight and actually get some success, raining off some shots. But it's going to come down to rounds 2 and 3 for Neil Magny to, try to outpoint Lee here. Maybe even get a takedown and maybe even get a submission. He's very well rounded. I like that he took a lot of time off since the Santiago fight, but again, I'm not the biggest fan of long layoffs. But with a vet like Neil Magny, 29th fight that he's coming into here, you got to think that this is almost a stepping stone fight for Lee as well, like a rite of passage fight. This is his first legit name that he's going to get under his belt. No disrespect to Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos, but Neil Magny is a little bit more of an established name too. So if he goes out there and gets a victory, it's going to be good for his career. Obviously, it'll bump him up in the rankings. But I think that we see a veteran type fight from Neil Magny here. So I'm going to go with the dog. And again, I did consider him betting him. His odds are getting better now at plus 164. I want to see where that goes. I might throw the 0.75 units on him there too. Plus 175 is kind of a number that I'd like to see. Plus 180. Here I am saying, my odds that I'd like to see rather than the percentages like fucking Z tried to teach me. Old habits die hard, and hopefully I can turn it around and say that proudly. But yeah, I like Neil here, and I might bet him at the plus 175 range, like I said. So Neil Magny by decision, definitely a live dog in my opinion, as long as he doesn't get knocked out in the first round. All right, next up we got Beneil Dariush versus Drakkar Klose. This is more than likely potentially going to be my lock of the night play. I'm very, very confident in Beneil here. So let me throw out a quick fact for you guys. Outside of Jakar Close's first fight in the UFC, which was against Devin Powell, every opponent has taken him down. So look into that however much you want, but every opponent since Devin Powell has taken him down at least once. I'm talking about Mark Diakese. I'm talking about David Tamor. I'm talking about Lando Veneta, who has a decent wrestling background. We don't see it often, but it's definitely an advantage that he has in some fights. Bobby Green got taken him down. Christos Giagos took him down. And you guys can read into the, whatever you want in terms of, Giagos mainly being a striker and Jakar probably overlooking the fact that he would get wrestled here by Giagos. This is Beneil motherfucking Dariush that we're talking about. We've seen in his last couple of fights, the Thiago Moises fight is definitely one that comes to mind where he goes back to his roots, he goes back to his bread and butter, and grinds out a fight. He came off that 42-second loss to Alexander Hernandez before that, but here he is stepping back in and grinding out a decision over Thiago Moises and just completely getting him down at will. Drew Dober, a little sketchy in that first round, but I believe that Drew Dober is the much better striker than Jakar Close, as we've seen of late too. But then he was still able to go in there and pull off his own game. Say what you want about Drew Dover's fight IQ in terms of, continuing the grappling even though he got out of a bad position. We still saw a submission for Beneil Dariush, and that we saw that he still has it. The 2 minutes and 2 seconds that we saw of the Frank Camacho fight, we saw massive improvements in his striking, and that's something that those improvements we've been seeing since the Edson Barboza fight. So we know that he's definitely crafting his game around that. And I know a lot of people are thinking, negatively about him since the Edson Barboza and Alexander Hernandez fights in terms of saying that he's shot and his chin is gone. We saw him kind of rattled in the Drew Dober fight. For some reason, I thought he got much more hurt than he did. But upon rewatching the tape, we see that Drew Dober actually, he hits him, but it's not like Beneil was on the cusp of getting finished or anything like that. Like, he's fine there, I think. And I don't think anything on the feet Jakar Close brings to Beneil Dariush he needs to worry about in terms of getting knocked out or getting outpointed. I think that Beneil will be able to, stick to his striking, land some good knees as he always does as well too. Does what he have to do to close the distance, get his hands on Jakar Close, so probably be up against the cage since that's pretty much where he drags down the majority of his opponents. But I think we see him successful on getting Jakar Close down, being the better fighter in the clinch positions as well. And I think that people underrate how strong Beneil actually is too. So I think we'll see some advantages to him here, or for him here. There's been pictures out there of Jakar Close out there training at the Atos gym, with Augusto Mendez in them, but Beneil, next level jiu-jitsu. And another thing about Jakar Close is we do see him give up his back a lot too. And that's not something you want to do against Beneil. So if Beneil ever gets that position, it's probably going night-night. I think that there is some value, obviously, on him to win by submission as well, plus 295-ish. I don't mind that, but I think my play is going to be either 4 to 5 units on Beneil Dariush straight. I don't know which one it's going to be yet. He's currently at minus 167 on my site. I'm going to see if he gets back down to like the minus 160-ish range. I'm just being a little bit greedy, but we'll see. Maybe the line movement actually plays my factor, and we see Beneil get to better odds. So I'm going with Beneil Dariush. I'm going to say second round submission. People can stop doubting my man Beneil Dariush again. All right, next up we got Weili Zhang versus Ioana Jędrzejczyk. This is the co-main event, and this should be a very fun fight. I'm really looking forward to this one. 2 of the top 3 or 4 strawweights, I should say. Ioana Jędrzejczyk, obviously the GOAT of that division due to her, long-reigning supremacy of that division until she got knocked out by Rose Namajunas and then got turned back again in the rematch between them. But as sold as people are on Weili Zhang, I think she's getting a lot of rub and a lot of like bet friendly people in terms of just keeping the Jessica Andrade fight in their mind. That was only 42 seconds, but it was a ridiculous destruction. But we're talking about going 5 rounds against Ioana Jędrzejczyk, who does defensively not the worst. She gets in and out pretty well. How she's going to handle Weili Zhang's power is going to be interesting. Weili, I think she packs one of the heavier punches in the division. We've only seen her actually put out Jessica Andrade, but her ground game is pretty good too. We saw her go out there and submit Jessica Aguilar. she's going to be the stronger fighter here too, which I think is going to be key, because that's, I think, where we saw the downfall of Joanna Jędrzejczyk when she fought Valentina Shevchenko. And yeah, that was a division higher, and obviously we saw that in terms of the strength, but I think that Weili might be one of the stronger fighters in this division. Tisha Torres is quite a strong fighter herself too, and Weili Zhang was having a little bit of fun in terms of grappling with her as well. I'm not saying she's blowing her out of the water, but she was overpowering her in some of these situations rather than using technique. And I think that if she's able to mix it up here against Joanna, she can make things interesting. Mix up her her massive counters, wait till Joanna closes the distance, and just kind of be a little bit disrespectful to Joanna's power and just land the better shots whenever Joanna comes into the pocket. So if she has that in her back pocket, as well as the potential of the takedown, I think it might make Joanna a little bit hesitant. The one thing that you got to be worrisome here for, if you are a Weili Zhang bettor, is if this goes 25 minutes, there's probably always going to be a good case for Joanna Jędrzejczyk in terms of her activity and her output. So unless Weili can hurt her early and hurt her often, Joanna is probably going to have the more volume. She's probably going to have the higher amount of strikes if this goes to 25 minutes. So Weili's definitely got to hurt her. And when she does hit her, she's going to have to, maybe open up a cut or something. She's going to have to make Joanna look like she got hurt way more. Kind of like a little bit from the Felder and Hooker fight. Aesthetically, it looked like Felder was taking way more of the damage just due to the fact that he just didn't look as good as Hooker. I think that had a little bit to play into it. So if Weili hits early and often enough, rocks her visibly, continuously goes for it. I do think that we do see a Weili finish, maybe fourth round, maybe even third round. I think it's just going to continue to catch up to Joanna. Anytime she tries to close the distance, Weili's going to be there to hit her. She's going to have to download her information quick. Within 10 minutes, 12 and a half-ish minutes, you could be losing all 3 rounds and possibly get finished later. So I like Weili. She's just so good everywhere, too. I think we will definitely see a grappling aspect to this fight, and we'll see her get Joanna down. Joanna's really good at getting back to the feet. She's never really given up that submission position. But Weili is a different beast, too. So I'm very, very excited for this fight. I think these are the top 2 strawweights. Tatiana Suarez has something to say about that, too. But she's just on the sideline for so long, so hopefully she's able to get her shit together and, really challenge for the belt here. But I'm going with Weili Zhang by 4th round TKO. I think she drops her and then follows up with a little bit of ground and pound. But I think we see Zhang retain her belt and continue her destruction of the strawweight division. All right, next up, main event time. We got Israel Adesanya versus Yoel Romero. Odds currently minus 280 for Israel Adesanya, plus 240 for Yoel Romero. I love Izzy in the spot. It's so hard to go out there and try to back Yoel Romero after watching his tape, and his just complete disregard of wanting to do anything in round one just to conserve his energy and get into round 2 and round 3 and have those bursts, because he has a ridiculous amount of third round finishes for some goddamn reason. But he is just so powerful and so quick, and he's so good at just stopping and starting and changing the paces in which he throws the strikes that really throws off his opponents. However, I think he's going to have a lot of trouble here with Adesanya. Adesanya is going to have that scouted. He is obviously going to have to stay on the tip of his toes in terms of, Yoel could absolutely explode at any time. But I think that Adesanya holds distance well. I think he kicks well enough to keep Yoel on the outside. One thing that I don't kind of like that Israel does is sometimes when he throws a combination, he goes fully through the combination where his back is slightly turned towards his opponent and he has to look back and he kind of skirts away like that. You got to be careful in those situations, because that's where Yoel Romero can follow up, kind of surprise you, get the head start on you in terms of being in a better position, in terms of propelling you forward quicker than you're able to propel yourself away from Yoel. That's something to keep in mind. But outside of that, outside of any slip up, this is Adesanya's fight. He's so good at reading his opponents, and the one thing that we saw Gastelum have success with in terms of hurting Adesanya was when he, for pretty much 3-ish rounds, he was lulling Adesanya into thinking that he was just going to be throwing a straight right and like a hook left or hook left and a straight right. And then he surprises him. I think it was in the third or fourth round where he throws that combination, but then he throws a head kick on the side in which Israel Adesanya was always exiting out on. And that's where he hurt Izzy. And then he went for the takedown, and then we know the history in terms of that. But with Yoel, you know, I think that Adesanya is going to be aware of what this guy's going to be throwing at all times. You know, it's always the blitzing right, sometimes a flying knee every now and then. But I don't see a situation where we see Adesanya actually get clipped by any of these things by Romero. So, and it's hard for me to see how Adesanya doesn't finish him in the fourth or fifth round. I think that's a possibility as well, too. I think he's just so good at reading his opponents and capitalizing on those situations. Like, Paulo Costa had a lot of success in terms of a lot of body shots on Yoel Romero, and I think that Israel Adesanya is going to be, you know, probably targeting that. You want to suck the cardio dry of Yoel Romero as early and as often as possible. So, you know, teeps to the belly, the side kicks, whatever the fuck it is, you want to hurt Romero to the body and start to drain him that way. And then I think eventually he'll start to mix in the head strikes and the head kicks, and it's all going to open up for him. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Romero obviously try to go out there and try to get a takedown, but everything that I've seen in terms of Adesanya getting taken down, he does everything right. Like, he digs for the underhooks right away, and then he starts to scoot his butt back to the cage and get right back to his feet. It's pretty good technique for somebody who's, you know, he's 18-0 or whatever now in MMA, but like, just came in straight from kickboxing and just started to learn everything else on the way. He does not give up position or concede position on the ground. He's always moving. He's always trying to get up. And I think that's going to be very important here against Yoel, who himself is able to get guys down, but he's not the best at keeping them down and riding them or doing anything like that. So I think Adesanya, he will get taken down, but I think it's going to come down to all the damage that's done on the feet, which should either get him a decision victory, or I think he gets a decision or gets a knockout late, probably round 4. So I'm going to go with Adesanya here. I was considering playing him straight minus 250 as my lock of the night play. The line doesn't seem like it's getting there, so I might actually... Remember that parlay piece I was talking about earlier in the episode? I was thinking of possibly parlaying him with Jamall Emmers. You could possibly get around plus 115, plus 116 if you do that. And I wouldn't mind at least like a 2 or 2.5 unit shot on that parlay alone. I think there's a lot of value there. You know, say what you want about the fucking mathematics and shit behind it too, but I just mean in terms of two guys that have all the tools to take out their opponents, but their lines are a little bit too much straight. But if you put them together, I wouldn't mind the payout on that. And if it crashes and burns, it fucking crashes and burns. It's all good, baby. All right, so I got Adesanya 4th round TKO and a possible parlay piece with Jamall Emmers earlier on the card. I think that's it. I think that's the episode. Yeah, that's the episode. I apologize that this was released on a Wednesday, but I had to get shit done. Let's just put it that way. But this episode is out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Check out the website, MMALOTN.ca. Picks will be up hopefully in the next couple of days. I'm just waiting for these lines to play out as I was saying. Check the Twitter at MMALOTN to see when I do post my plays. They are free as of right now, so check those out as you guys can. And I think that's it. Shout out to Big Rob for holding down the studio once again. And I'll be back here for the next pay-per-view event. But next week, I believe we're going to be breaking down what's next weekend. UFC Brasilia, Kevin Lee versus Charles Oliveira, which would be a very fun card to break down. And I believe from skimming the odds, there are some very intriguing odds. There's a Bellator card next weekend as well, too. I might break that, or at least a fight or two of that down if I see anything that I like. But not anything that I'm currently looking at. Maybe Emmanuel Sanchez, we'll see. Minus 135-ish, not a bad range against Daniel Weichel. But that's it for Lock-Cast episode 73. Thank you guys for tuning in. Subscribe. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, fucking subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1K soon. You know what I mean? I'm getting married in June. Let me try to get that 1K before June. Shout out to Predictor Wars, Mr. Arkansas. You're killing it over there. Appreciate you. And that's it. Like, subscribe, comment, say whatever the fuck you guys want. And good luck this weekend. Let's get some fucking money.